Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 22 My Team career mode for the final round of the championship, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Well, it is championship time. Sergio Perez leads the championship 14 points ahead of Max Verstappen. We'll talk about exactly what that means in a moment. We have the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge to do first, of course. We've got the McLaren Artura, and we've picked the Rival Duel Challenge. So we have three mini races that start at just before the left-hander before the hairpin, left-handed hairpin before the back straight. I'm trying to say, and finishes on the second back straight that is slightly less straight. It's very hard to refer to certain parts of this track because I don't know corner numbers. Anyway. We continue on and onto the second run. We won the first duel in the side-by-side one. We take the lead straight away at the first corner run, a bit deep, but we should be able to take victory still. We should be able to just go for the dive into the chicane if we have to, and we might get it done even earlier than that. But let's talk about what the championship looks like. And what Perez and Verstappen will need to do if either driver wants to win the championship this season. For Sergio Perez, the equation is simple. If he wants to win the championship, he will need to finish in third or better. That will secure the title beyond doubt, no matter what Max Verstappen does. For Verstappen, it is a lot more complicated. He will need at least a podium, and that's if Perez doesn't score. Verstappen will need to be third or better. If Perez does score, it complicates matters. So if Verstappen finishes in P2, he will need to hope that Sergio Perez is towards the back of the points in around P8 for Verstappen to secure the title. And if Verstappen finishes in first position, he'll need to hope Perez is off the podium. But even then, fastest laps going one way or the other could also sway the championship, so it's a little confusing, but we will see how the race plays out, and I'll do my best to explain the championship picture as the weekend goes on. But in simple terms, if Perez wants to win the championship, all he needs to do is keep up with Verstappen, and that should be enough. We go for the big lunge, as we're quite a long way behind our rival in the duel there, and with a bit of contact we make our way through. He returns the favour though, as we exit the chicane, and now we head towards the finish line. And we're going to make it to 3 from 3 in the rival duel. We'll take the full credits and acclaim from this one, and we're now ready to head into the race weekend itself. And yeah, starts preparing for the final race of the season. It's been a long season one. We're well into 2023 now. It's almost May, but anyway, we have a look at R&D. Even though it's the final round, we've always got work to do because while we have adapted all of our upgrades for next season, we can actually start working on some new ones. So we're going to work on the power unit and durability, as those parts will go on the car, and we won't need to adapt them after already purchasing the upgrades. So we're going to go for extra power, as well as an upgrade to the ERS, and we will also go for an upgrade to the durability department as well, to the energy store. So yeah, with all of that said, we are I think ready to get into qualifying. There is the R&D chart. We're nowhere near the back of the field, but as we've seen, that is not always representative of where our true pace is. I think we are in amongst it. Perhaps tyre wear and fuel economy in our car is not as good, but we're there or thereabouts. Time to talk about the livery for this weekend. I used a random number generator to choose the colours, and this is what it came up with. So yeah, it's an interesting look, and as you can see, it is raining and qualifying here in Abu Dhabi. I don't think I've ever seen rain here. in any of my previous career modes of any variety, not in Formula 2, not in Formula 1, not in my team, not in driver career. I don't think I've ever seen this. So the weather's turned on something special here for the final round. Rain in Abu Dhabi is certainly a rare sight here in the Formula 1 games, but we've got it here and now. So yeah, I have to say, there was a bit of a strange feeling in the air here in qualifying for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Not sure if it was the weather or the championship tensions bubbling over in the background, but whatever it was, there was something in the air here, and it was quite a tough qualifying session for us. We didn't really have the pace in the rain. It was very hard to get confidence around this circuit. Having never driven this track in the rain before, I didn't really know what to expect, where the tricky spots were, and yeah, that proved to be a little too much to get a handle of in a short number of laps, as we have a bit of a moment there as we head through the various right-handers of the final sector and now through the lefts as we continue to drift our way through. We are sliding all over the place, but the lap time is, well, it's not the worst, but it's going to put us down in last position, I think. But we were sort of keeping up with the car in front, but ultimately we could never actually do better than that. The track conditions actually continued to worsen as the session went on, so any consecutive laps would not be any good. But the track dried up slightly towards the end, so I made the very bold decision to go onto the dry weather tyres, but unfortunately the track didn't dry up enough, and we couldn't even make it around the outlap to start our flyer. But even if we did, I don't think it would have been good enough. So we qualified down in last position for the final race of the season, but we had to try something because we had no pace in the rain, so it was worth the risk, and it didn't pay off that time. Sergio Perez tops Q1, a great start to his weekend. Looks like Charles Leclerc has a good pace as well in second position. The Ferraris are on paper the fastest car, so they'll be ones to watch here in Abu Dhabi. But let's see who else is knocked out. We have Yuki Tsunoda down in P21, very low qualifying for him. Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi also knocked out. We've seen that a number of times from the two Canadians. Oscar Piastri qualifies in 18th position, and Zhou Guanyu in P17. So decent qualifying from Piastri actually. But anyway, let's get into the race, the final one of the season.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula 1 World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out, here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Yas Marina circuit is made up of 3.28 miles of track, featuring 16 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 5 and turn 7 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Sainz, Sergio Perez, they've taken a grid penalty, and Verstappen, Russell, Magnussen, Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Gasly, Bottas, Yuki Tsunoda, the scientist, Oscar Piastri, Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, they've taken a grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi, Stroll, Albon, Joe, and Fernando Alonso rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson is with me one last time this year as we bid a fond farewell to another season of Formula 1.
It's been another great year of racing, but let's not look back just yet. We've still got one more Grand Prix ahead of us. Some of these drivers don't know if they'll be in the sport next year or how competitive their car might be even if they are. So this is a race where every driver should be striving to make the most of it.
Okay, this is the final race of the season. Just get out there and enjoy it.
We certainly will enjoy this final race. Strategy got a little bit confusing. We are going to go for 2 sets of softs to 2 sets of mediums. I tried every other possible option I could think of, but in the end, softs to mediums will look like the fastest way to go. Not sure how the soft tyres will go around this circuit. Overheating may become an issue. It has sometimes in the past, so we will see how it goes. No rain to interfere this time, so we are all in the clear in terms of weather. Everyone will be either starting on the softs or mediums. There's a good mix. The 2 Red Bulls, the title contenders, on the same strategy though, starting on the soft compound tyres. Charles Leclerc going the opposite direction on the mediums from pole position, so we'll see how that goes for him. But without further ado, let's go into the race and go to the 5 red lights. We're going to watch this one from the front of the field. It's lights out and away we go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a good start for Charles Leclerc. He's going to lead the field round the first corner as Hamilton and Ocon are fighting away side by side. Hamilton gets through as Carlos Sainz holds off Sergio Perez. Verstappen was in a 3-wide battle, but I think he held on to his position in P6, which is fortunate for him. So it's all battling through the first corner, but they've all found their way into single file now as they head towards the reprofiled left-hander, and now on to the big straight for the first time. This will be a good overtaking opportunity for anyone stuck behind Esteban Ocon, who has been elevated out of position here thanks to a lot of grid penalties for the drivers around him. Carlos Sainz is the one lining up the move now down the inside, and Sainz will try to get through here, but Ocon is not going to give it up easily. Sainz shuffled out a little bit wide, and now Perez is on the back of Sainz. So let's see if Perez can do anything, or can Sainz fight back. Here comes Verstappen. The 2 Red Bulls are now going to duke it out as they head towards the banking. Sainz now down the inside of Esteban Ocon as well. It's all fighting here as they head through the left-hander. Carlos Sainz trying to pull off the move, as is Max Verstappen, but they both still run side by side as 2 by 2 as they head through this series of right-handers. Typically you wouldn't dream of running through here side by side, but the championship's on the line, big points are on the line, pride is on the line, and Max Verstappen makes the move on Sergio Perez and gets ahead. Carlos Sainz also passes Esteban Ocon. Sergio Perez now down into P6. Not enough for him to lose the championship with Max Verstappen in 5th, but they will need to be wary because if Max Verstappen makes a charge, Perez will need to go with him in this position, so he will need to be cautious of that. Meanwhile for us, way back in P15, it was a relatively uneventful start, so yeah, you didn't really miss too much. We're just still running back where we started, and we didn't really have too much to show for our first lap. We have Oscar Piastri behind us, and we're actually going to let him go because he's got better pace at this phase of the race. Not sure what it is, but I'm struggling to get into a rhythm at the moment, so we'll let Piastri go and do his own thing, and hopefully we can chase him down later on once we get into a better rhythm, but there's no need for us to go holding him up while we are struggling to get up to speed. So yeah, we will settle into a rhythm as the race goes on, but
I've got information on Albon for you. They seem to have an issue.
well, Albon with an issue as we have Sebastian Vettel diving it down the inside in his final race of his career before he retires. He's not able to make the move stick though. Here's he on board with Albon. Not sure what the issue is for him, other than the fact he is currently being overtaken by one of the Alfa Romeo cars down the inside. So yeah, not sure what the issue is for Albon, but he's struggling with something in that car. But anyway, we continue to push on, and we lose another position, or we almost lose the position to Sebastian Vettel. But with a switchback here, we may be able to get it back. We actually went deep into the hairpin, semi-intentionally to be honest, to get a nice run onto the straight and to carry good straight line speed, and now we'll be able to make the move on Sebastian Vettel as we fight it out through the chicane, and we should be able to get this move done on the inside. And as we race down towards the banking, we're still fighting away out wide though over the curb, and not only Sebastian Vettel but also Lance Stroll. They both managed to get through. The 2 Aston Martins now fighting side by side through this section of right-handers, Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is going to hold off his teammate and maintain the position ahead of Lance Stroll. So nice racecraft there by Sebastian Vettel to hold him off, and now Vettel can get the eyes forward once again. But for us, news just doesn't get any better. We still just can't get into a rhythm, and yeah, we just keep making little mistakes and losing a lot of time, and we just cannot match the cars around us for speed, let alone Oscar Piastri, who is absolutely flying along at the moment, and is quite a long way ahead of us at this point. So yeah, I don't know what it is, but we're really struggling in this phase of the race. Perhaps the tyres are overheating as Max Verstappen comes in to make his first pit stop. So Red Bull calling in first for the undercut. He is ahead of Perez on track, so he gets the priority there at Red Bull. So we'll see how that plays out. But he comes out of pit lane right ahead of a huge bunch of traffic, so lucky Red Bull didn't have any issues in that stop, otherwise he would have a world of pain to deal with. But thankfully for Verstappen, he has a bit of clear air in front of him, so he can push on. But that was probably a little closer than what they would have liked down at Red Bull. It's now time for us to come into the pit lane. We almost drive it into the pit wall, but we managed to just about get it into the lane, and we'll cruise along to our box. We get another set of the soft compound tyres on, and we'll see. These tyres were overheating. That explains it. So we're going to need to take care of these, and
perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
A perfect pit stop by the crew. So no mistakes there. It's in a 3-stop race, there's a lot of opportunities for the pit crew to make mistakes. They've been making quite a few in the latter half of this season, so hopefully they can keep things clean here in the final race of the season, and we can finish on a high note together. But as we continue to push on,
okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
We catch up to Nicholas Latifi and see if we can make the move on the Canadian somewhere soon. We're stuck right behind him at the moment with no way through, so hopefully we should be able to find our way past. And to my surprise, there are actually drivers trying the hard tyres, as we're going to go for a very aggressive line there, looking for a much later apex than Nicholas Latifi, and it works for us. We get the DRS as well, and we're going to go zooming on straight past Nicholas Latifi, and we'll move ourselves up one position and into P21, as we have to leave him a bit of space on the apex. But we get through and move ourselves up that one position.
Some information on Magnussen for you. They're retiring from the race.
And Kevin Magnussen out of the race with a mechanical failure. Unfortunate for the Dane. He won't take any further part in this one. He retires from the final race of the season. Parks the Haas car up against the wall. No safety car required for that one. Here's how the race looks at the moment, though. Verstappen and Perez have dropped down the order a little bit with those pit stops. There are some drivers further up that are yet to stop those, so that will all equalize later on once the strategies all balance out. So it's not a true picture of what things look like, but the key there is that Perez is keeping up with Verstappen. He's still only one position behind him, so it is all good news for Sergio Perez. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz has an issue here. He's driving very slowly along the straight, and that does not look good for the Ferrari, as he is pulling off the road now, and he's going to retire from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as well. Another Ferrari mechanical failure, and that is the end of the day for Carlos Sainz. That's 2 Ferrari-powered cars out of the race here in Abu Dhabi. Unfortunate for them. Meanwhile, we are scrapping away with Yuki Tsunoda, and the Japanese driver gets through, as we were very close to making contact there with him. I think we just about got away with it. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda has a better pace than us at the moment, and once again, towards the end of this soft tyre stint, we're really struggling, as we're now fighting it out with Alex Albon. We hold him off for now, but as we try and get the power down, he's still right behind us as we head towards the banking. We'll see if he can make the move. He'll have the help of DRS, as we go a little bit wide on the entry there, and we go way too deep, and that's going to allow Albon a huge open line on the inside, and he might get through. No, we hold him off for now, so we for now can hold off Albon. But yeah, oh, he sends it down the inside, big lunge from Albon, and he gets the move done. So yeah, unfortunately we've lost that position too. We're all over the place at the moment. We're just scrambling all over the track, trying to get into a rhythm, and we just can't just can't click with the circuit, and can't just find the groove. Basically, it's hard to describe, but
we're going to box this lap, push hard on the in lap.
It just isn't working for us. So we come in for our second pit stop now onto the medium compound tyres. And I think the problem with the softs is they were just overheating, and that made them very hard to drive on. I was paying attention to the tyre temperatures throughout that second stint, and they were going up by 2 degrees a lap. And that is when I was trying to look after the tyres and consciously trying to drive smoothly through, you know, some of the more high-speed corners. And yeah, the tyre temperatures were just going up and up. The carcass temperatures were just going up 2 degrees every single lap, and there was no stopping them, no cooling them down. So yeah, that's I think the reason why we were struggling so much. There was just no controlling those tyres. But thankfully on the mediums, that was not so big of an issue, and the car felt nice for much further into the stint. So we continue to push on then on these medium tyres, and with the pace we are finding on these, we will begin to make some overtakes.
Less than 1 second now. Well done. Let's try and get past in the DRS zone.
As we catch up to Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher, who are fighting it out here through the first sector. Yuki Tsunoda has the better pace at the moment, but is yet to be able to make the pass on Mick Schumacher. So hopefully Tsunoda will be able to get through soon, and we might be able to follow him through. We go for a big lunge around the outside. Again, it gives us a straight exit. It allows us to put the power down early, and it works for us, and we're able to carry great speed along the straight. We should be able to make this move on Yuki Tsunoda. We go to the outside, and we get the move done to Tsunoda. Tries to go to the inside of Mick Schumacher. We'll grab both of them at once, but Tsunoda going for the big lunge there, and there may have been a bit of contact on that apex as we lose out briefly to Mick Schumacher. Let's see if we can get this one back as we head into the big left-hander, trying to carry the speed around the outside of Mick Schumacher, and we get the move done. So I don't know if Schumacher has damage from that or if he was just struggling on the apex of that corner, but either way we were able to get through as we go very deep there, and that is to allow Charles Leclerc through, as we're now being blue flagged in this race. Such is the pace at the front of the field and the lack of pace we had at the start. Another snapshot of what the race looks like. Verstappen and Perez now 3rd and 4th, so 3 points between them, but still Perez is 11 points in front in the championship if things finish as they are. So things are still looking good for Sergio Perez, and it's looking more and more likely that he's going to come home with the championship. But the key now is that Verstappen's on the podium, so if Perez has a DNF, Verstappen is all of a sudden in the best place to be. So that is one thing Perez will need to worry about, just to make sure his car gets to the end of the race. So we continue to push on, and we find our way up into the 14th position at the moment as pit stops are being made.
Oscar is into the pit lane. Oscar in the pits.
Piastri in the pits. And we're up into P13. So yeah, we are running quite well in this one, as there's a car exiting pit lane right there. That is Stroll, I believe, and he comes out. I think that was his final stop of the race, so I don't think we'll be racing with him directly. I think we still have one to go. So
the car ahead's coming to fit the mediums. Car ahead now running medium tyres.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be fighting with Stroll today. We'll see as the race goes on. But anyway, we haven't had a safety car in this race yet, despite having 2 mechanical failure DNFs so far. But anyway, Zhou Guanyu makes the move on us, and he gets that one done cleanly, and we eventually come in for our final pit stop. We were losing pace towards the end of that stint. I didn't actually check if it was tyre temperatures or just the tyre wear that time, but yeah, we really started to struggle again, so maybe it was the tyre temperatures eventually catching up to us on the mediums. But whatever it was, we come in for a new set of tyres, and these will carry us to the end of the race.
Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
So
after these tyres now, we want to finish the race on this compound.
Out of pit lane again, very cautiously there as we almost drove it into the wall. It's a very awkward pit exit, the coolest pit exit of the season, but a very awkward one to navigate. And we come out of pit lane right amongst the top 10 runners who are one lap ahead of us now. So we're in a bit of an awkward position here. We're being blue flagged, but we'll have to see. It's Verstappen right behind us. So there you go. Max Verstappen is right there. We have DRS though, and we're actually pulling away from him along the straight, so we're in a bit of an awkward position here. And I don't want to give up too much time with the blue flags, of course, because we do have our own race to worry about. We go deep though into the chicane, and we'll just run across the inside line and let them all go past around the outside, and we'll get a move on once we have some clear air to ourselves. And that is exactly what we do. As we continue on though, we catch up to Lando Norris, and here's a lap ahead of us as Piastri moves out of the way for the blue flags. We get that position for free, move ourselves up as we go on board now with Oscar Piastri, and yeah, he was a lot more courteous than we were when he was being blue flagged, and yeah, really made an effort to get out the way and then let everyone through, but we don't have time for that. We have races to win, so we catch up now then to Lando Norris once again, and we genuinely have better pace than the McLaren on these medium tyres. We're looking really strong, so we are surprisingly actually going to make the move on Lando Norris down the inside, and we make it stick and move ourselves ahead of Lando Norris. So there's a unusual moment, actually, you know, driving past a car that had just put us a lap down as Daniel Ricciardo pits from in front of us, so we won't need to worry about making the move on him as we're being blue flagged again, but we're not going to worry about that. I think we can outdrive that and break away from Lando Norris, whom we are getting blue flagged for. So yeah, that should be fine for us as we continue to push on. Another quick look at the race. Perez and Verstappen still sit 4th and 3rd at the moment, so nothing changing too much in that way, but they are sticking to the same strategy in this race. Red Bull not daring to put on alternate strategies to each other. But anyway, we go on board with Valtteri Bottas now. He's in a scrap with Albon and Vettel, and Albon spun 360 there, and that's held up Bottas. Perez almost getting involved in it. He gets through with no damage, but Sergio Perez almost had his race undone right in front of him there. That spin happened right in front of him with the two cars slowing right down. Here's our on board. We managed to skate our way through that as well. We almost drove into the back of Sergio Perez with Valtteri Bottas moving out the way there, and we gained 3 positions and moved ourselves up into P12, so that all worked out very well for us as we're now scrapping away with Sebastian Vettel. He's the biggest threat to our position at the moment, but we hold him off on that occasion. Meanwhile, up the road, Max Verstappen has really been putting his foot down and now makes the move on Lewis Hamilton for 2nd position. Round the outside goes Max Verstappen. Hamilton's not going to give this one up easily though, as Verstappen makes the move round the outside inside of the next right-hander, but Hamilton has good drive traction and it's going to be a drag race as Verstappen gets the nose in front. But Hamilton coming back at him around the outside, and Hamilton back ahead as they're side by side into the banking. Hamilton driving it all the way around the outside. Max Verstappen on the inside line is a little bit more pinched in as they continue to run side by side. This is costing Max Verstappen centuries in race time, and it's going to potentially cost him a chance to go chasing after Charles Leclerc. But it's a great move in the end, and he does give chase to Charles Leclerc. But that overtake on Hamilton took a lot longer than what he would have wanted it to, and that could cost him the chance to go for the championship. There's Charles Leclerc at the bottom of screen, and there is Max Verstappen. So there is a long way to go in just a short number of laps for Max Verstappen if he wants a chance at winning this championship. Meanwhile, we are heavy on the defense as we now have Sebastian Vettel still hounding us, but we hold him off once again as we continue through. If Max Verstappen does manage to chase down Charles Leclerc and eventually win this race, it's I think going to be a tie between himself and Sergio Perez if Verstappen can also get the fastest lap, and then it would go to count back of race victories, so things could get very confusing if that's the case. But I think with all that fighting with Hamilton, I don't think that is on the cards now. He's lost too much time. Meanwhile, Zhou Guanyu is now commencing battle with Sebastian Vettel, and the Chinese driver makes the move through the chicane, and once again the move looks to be done, but Sebastian Vettel with the DRS, this is almost an exact replay of what we just saw with Verstappen and Hamilton, because Vettel's making the move back around the outside, and they're going to run side by side all the way through the banking, but Zhou Guanyu will make the move and take the position up into 13th place. Nicely done by the Chinese driver. Sebastian Vettel down to 14th in his final race of his career. Valtteri Bottas also dropping out of contention in this one, as he was fighting away with Vettel not too long ago. So not exactly sure what happened to him, but anyways, we continue to battle on. Zhou Guanyu catches up to us, and he is now the biggest threat to our P12. Which, to be fair, is actually a pretty good result for us in this race. Remember we qualified down in last, as Joe makes the move down the inside into the final corner, and he gets it done, as we're really out of a rhythm at the moment.
Don't need to worry about the tyre condition for now. Everything's looking good.
The car is
Gap
fine,
to your teammate
so
behind is 8.5 seconds.
yeah, we just need to push on and hope we can get this position back from Zhou Guanyu as we begin what will be our final lap of the race. So we don't have a lot of time left. Remember, we're a lap down, so it's a 57 lap race for us as we now head along the straight in the slipstream of Zhou Guanyu. Let's see if we can make this move into the chicane. We've got the DRS to help us, of course, as we sit in the slipstream. Let's see if we can make the move. Zhou defends, and we'll go to the outside. Can we go late enough on the brakes? We'll ease it in around the outside, and we'll make the move stick to the inside, and we'll get the job done nicely and move ourselves ahead of Zhou Guanyu, and we're now up into P12. But once again, as Zhou tries to make the move to the outside, he may get there. He's looking, he's got the nose alongside, but we'll just about hold him off and remain in 12th position. Meanwhile, up the road, it has been an absolutely fantastic drive from Charles Leclerc today, flawless from start to finish, and he is going to take home the spoils. It is going to be a race victory in the final race of the season for Charles Leclerc. Great drive by the Ferrari man, and he takes the full points today. But there's an even bigger prize on offer for this man, Sergio Perez. What a day this is for the Mexican, as he is going to cross the line and become the World Drivers' Champion.
Well done, Sergio! Well done! Oh, guys! This is us! Come on! Vamos! I'm not dreaming, right?
Yeah, you done it.
I've dreamt so many times this moment, man.
Wow. Meanwhile, we are still scrapping it out with Zhou Guanyu through the final few corners. He is not giving up, as we had a really awkward line there, and he gets through as we've only got 2 corners left in the race, 2 corners left in the season. Zhou goes wide, we get back up the inside into the final corner. We missed the apex by miles, but we'll get back through. We've got cars a lap ahead behind us, Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo and George Russell there as well.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
But we don't have to worry about them. The race is over. We finish in P12. Sebastian Vettel gets the driver of the day in his final race. Well deserved.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It might have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level at the very top is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on track was: speed. I know it sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Well, Charles Leclerc may not have been in the title fight, but that is one of the drives of the season. Flawless from start to finish, and he takes home race victory here in the final round. Max Verstappen did everything he could but falls short in second position, and Lewis Hamilton finishes third.
Well, not the result our points leader would have wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Sebastian Vettel would definitely be my first choice. He showed up a lot of the drivers out on the track today and didn't show any signs of slowing down.
And it's another title in the bag for Red Bull after a long and hard-fought season. They've built an astonishing car this year, and the glory they'll be taking back to Milton Keynes is fully deserved. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Who would have thought, coming into this season, with Verstappen taking all the victories in the opening few rounds, that Sergio Perez would be the one to come through and take the title. In the last 2 rounds of the championship, he was on fire, or even the last half of the season, really. There was a sort of turning point, I feel like, around the Azerbaijan Grand Prix when Max Verstappen retired from the race with an engine failure, and Sergio Perez went on to win. That slashed Verstappen's championship lead in half, and then after that, Perez slowly started to gain form, and then really getting into the second half of the season, he was unstoppable and just put so many great drives together, and it was an unbelievable championship. Well done, Sergio Perez. It's not every day you can say you beat Max Verstappen. He's done it here today, and he's done it this season. Let's have a little run through the finishing order of the race, and then we'll take a final look at the drivers and constructors standings. Charles Leclerc took victory ahead of Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez finishing in P4. Then was the trio of Lando Norris, George Russell and Daniel Ricciardo. Those three were the ones who followed us across the line. Behind them, the 2 Frenchmen, Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, and then Fernando Alonso rounding out the points finishers. Fastest lap went the way of Max Verstappen. So, in the drivers' standings, Sergio Perez took the championship victory by 7 points over Max Verstappen, and then Charles Leclerc was 23 points off the championship win. Carlos Sainz finished in 4th position ahead of the 2 Mercedes drivers, George Russell ahead of Hamilton, only 13 points separating the pair of them. Up next are the 2 McLarens, who scored over 200 points between them, 106 for Ricciardo and 97 for Lando Norris. Rounding out the top 10, we have Fernando Alonso on 66 points and ourselves on 55. Kevin Magnussen and Esteban Ocon tie for 11th place, 37 points each, and behind him Yuki Tsunoda, followed by another tie between Gasly and Bottas, both on 18 points. Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, Alex Albon and Zhou Guanyu round out the point scorers, with Lance Stroll recording a PB of 11th place, ahead of Piastri with a personal best of 12th, and last, Nicholas Latifi with a best finish of 13th. As for the constructors' standings, it's a mega season from Red Bull. Between their drivers, they amass over 500 points, 509 in total. Ferrari in second position, 427 points, and then Mercedes just over half the points of Red Bull on 263. As I mentioned, McLaren score over 200 points as well, not all that far behind Mercedes relatively, followed by Alpine, and then ourselves at Southern Cross with 55 points, just 2 points ahead of Haas on 53. Behind them, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin and Williams down at the back, 6 points for them. So now we can get to the fun part. We get to set up the team for next season. I will be partially doing that in the next episode, but before the end of this one, we do have to choose our teammate for next year. And while Oscar Piastri's done a decent job, I really want a driver with more experience so they can bring in the R&D points in practice. So yeah, that will be, I think, the key thing that we look for in our next driver. So we'll see how much money we can accumulate before then. We have a fair bit, so we can definitely get someone fairly decent on our side, but we'll have to investigate who in a moment. We've got about 1 million years on the activity timeline, so we can do every single one of these activities. And now we continue then through the timeline towards the end of the season, and we'll just go ticking off all of these activities. And oh, we have a personnel department event. Let's see what this is about. Let's see. Oh, it is a good one. So this goes back to I think it was a previous episode when we had that department event talking about a threat from hackers. We invested in some extra training, and it seems that that has paid off for us, and we've been given a reward of 750 resource points. That is huge. If you think about the potential impact that has, that's an extra upgrade, let's say, that we can put on the car. That's an extra few tenths of a second a lap that we will have for the entirety of the next season, which could translate to 1 or 2 positions here and there, and who knows in total points what that is. But a simple decision, it cost us 20,000 credits, I believe, and it could have a huge impact on next season, because that is a significant amount of resource points. So the fact we were just given those for almost nothing, 20,000 credits is nothing. Why do I keep saying credits? I just get used to Gran Turismo. This game uses dollars. Anyway, the impact of that can be huge for what is a very low price. It is what I was getting at. So glad we made the smart choice there. But anyway, it is time to sign up a new driver to race for us for next season. And not everyone is within our price range. We can potentially afford a driver that has a market value of about 6 million, and then there's a $3 million buyout on top of that. So those are the sort of range drivers we are looking at, and Fernando Alonso is included within that range. His total rating is 89, which is very high. He has 99 experience, which is one thing I was very much looking for. 89 racecraft, 79 awareness, so he might make a lot of mistakes, or a few more than perhaps we would like, and then 89 pace as well. So all round a very, very good driver, which of course it is, it's Fernando Alonso, but for that price there is no one better than Fernando Alonso. But his focus is terrible. It is way down, so we're definitely going to need to work on that. So he's obviously not been happy at Alpine. Maybe he'll be willing to leave. I don't know. I hardly know if he'll even accept our contract approach, but we will give it a try. He may have high expectations for our team if he joins, so we'll need to make sure, he may want Spec 2 facilities, which we just don't have, but we'll give it a crack and see. But you can see his stats versus Oscar Piastri's, and the experience in particular I think is actually going to make a huge difference, because the resource points he's going to pull in from practice sessions will be just huge in comparison. And I'm comparing other options still, but ultimately no one is even close to, I think, the potential that Fernando Alonso can offer us. The focus will be a problem. We will need to build that up again over the course of the season, because it is far too low at the moment. It's basically at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. It's in the Challenger Deep. So yeah, we'll need to buy Fernando Alonso a submarine so he can get back up and to the something normal once again. What am I talking about? I've gone way off track. Anyway, he accepts our approach by some miracle. I don't know why he looks at this team that's slowest on the R&D chart and thinks that's a better place to go than Alpine, who are not doing half bad. But regardless, we will see how it goes. We begin the bidding war then with Alpine, and now is the real test. We need to find out how much Alpine really want Fernando Alonso, and if we even can afford to outbid Alpine in the contract wars. So this is going to go on and on for a little bit, back and forth, and yeah, we're just going to keep clicking on the bid until we run out of money. I really want Fernando Alonso. He is definitely the best option for us, so if we can afford him, we will get him, and we do. So Alpine give it up, and we get Fernando Alonso. Awesome stuff. Fernando Alonso is now on our team. Goodness me, that is a phrase I was not sure I would ever say, but there we go, we have Fernando Alonso. I honestly didn't plan to have Fernando Alonso as a teammate in this career mode when I first started. I was actually hoping to sign Ricciardo for the second season, but he's well out of my price range at the moment, so yeah, that's unfortunate. We won't be able to do that in this career mode, but anyway, official confirmation then, Bottas and Vettel have retired from the sport, so we will no longer be seeing them in the future of this career mode. And it depends what future plans I may have for this game. There are things I have planned, but I'm not sure if they will go ahead. We'll sort of see how this next season of my team goes, but we'll just say potentially that this race may well have been the last time we would see Sebastian Vettel on track in a Formula 1 game. So yeah, that is a moment for sure. But anyway, we'll keep pushing on then through the timeline, and then at the end of the season we will finish this video off. So
sooner or later,
rivalry talk. Unfortunately, we did lose that rivalry with Lando Norris, but as I said, I think that was a lost cause from the beginning. We've been working away at some upgrades to the durability and powertrain in the background. We're not even touching the chassis and aero, because any upgrades we purchase for that we will have to adapt, so we don't want to be double spending on those. But anyway, we have another department event for the power unit department, and let's see, what are we talking about here? So the power unit department, I feel like they need a break, so we can spend a bit of money, give them the break, and it's going to boost morale by 30%, which is quite a bit, or we can decline, and that will reduce their morale, which we don't want to do. And yeah, $50,000 is really not that much, so I don't think we'll miss it, to be honest. So yeah, I think we'll do that. We will give them their break. It is the end of the season, so you know, they don't need to work too hard as we head towards Christmas and all that. So yeah, we will give them that break. It will boost the morale, and then when we get into next season, we'll start pumping in the upgrades again. But anyway, we continue to push on through the timeline, and we get a few more resource points. And is there anything we can do here as we look at the departments once again? But we're currently kind of blocked in at the moment. There's not a lot we can actually work on because we're blocked in by the department capacity and the fact we don't want to work on chassis and aero. But anyway, that is going to just about do it then for this one.
Without issue. They'll be on the car, ready for the next race weekend.
So yeah, that is it. So I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this title decider. We don't have enough money to go for these upgrades now, enough resource points. But yeah, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. As always, very helpful. Other than that, I will see you next time for the next season. Goodbye.